Hello, how's it going? I have to say, moist. I've made 2 videos and I've had to start over, so I'm going to start this a little bit differently. We're going to do Genesis, first book of Moses, Old Testament. In the beginning, Genesis is the creation. It's a Greek word, and this is chapter 1 of it. I'm going to take right off where we left off. We will be doing verses 14 through 19, about five verses, and this will be what God creates on the 4th day number 4 of the creation, since he began to put it back together and replenish it and redo it. From that overthrow of Lucifer in the Catable, Satan drew a third of God's children with him and lied to them, had them worshiping him. A third of them probably felt like they was bystanders, and maybe a third of us stood with our Father. I don't know, I wasn't there. So let's go with it. Let's go with verse 14. God finished up making the 3rd day, and we're beginning the 4th right here. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven," atmosphere, "to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and for years." Verse 15, same thought. And there's that polysyndeton. There's a lot that happened. We're still in the same day, but this is 1,000 years we're talking about here that we're spanning through. So yeah, there's a lot going on. Verse 15, "And let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven, to give light upon the earth." And it was so. Keep going. Verse 16, "And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, our sun, and the lesser light to rule the night," the darkness. Same thought, so we have a colon. He made the stars also. Go to verse 17. "And God set them in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth." Verse 18. "And to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good." Verse 19. "And the evening and the morning were the 4th day. So that concludes God's creating of that 4th day. What did he do? Well, he created the sun and the moon. But I want to, so that we open this up right and it makes sense to you, I want to go back. Come back with me here to verse 3. Now, we've already had days in between this verse 3 and verse 14. Day 1 and day 4. Why is God creating lights again? Lights. Well, because in verse 3, the light he was talking about there was Jesus Christ, and it is very well documented in the Revelation of when the New Jerusalem and everything is set back right. Christ will be that light. We won't have any need of this ball of sun, ball of fire, and a moon in the way that we are using it right now. It's just not going to be necessary. let's go into it a little bit deeper here and use wisdom, as wisdom was with God when he was creating all this. We just documented it. Nothing, no secret. God's not speaking from a secret place here. And may he help me to convey this. So he said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven. And what was the purpose of them? God, again, God does not create anything to who. He creates everything to be inhabited and not vain and not without, not void and without a purpose. This is all made for a purpose. And those lights, the purpose of them is for men while we're here in this condition to know years and know days and know even signs. Sometimes there's signs. Astrology is not necessarily an evil thing. Not necessarily. Astrology is not an evil thing. Men make things evil. I wish I would have looked up Romans 15. If it happens quick, I'll read this for you. And this is Paul speaking. And I'm not sure I'm going to be able to find it fast enough. Yes, I'm sorry, it's Romans 14, excuse me. Forgive me. Okay, in verse 5 here. In verse 6. One man esteemeth one day above another, and this is what we're going by in the solar calendar is usually what Christians will go by. Another esteemeth every day alike. Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. He that regardeth the day regardeth it unto the Lord. He's saying there is nothing evil in itself, but to him who esteemeth a thing to be evil, to him this is evil. So I've given you enough from this to go back and check me out. It is in Romans 14 or 15, this saying, so the moon and is not evil in itself. Many people will use the moon for there are lunatics. Whenever there's a full moon out, I've played music in a long time, rock bands, and not only that, do people go wild there, and there's big nights, but you can ask any emergency room nurse or first responders, firefighters, doctors, paramedics, cops. They will all tell you that, yeah, during the full moon, there's a lot more action. The moon pulls a lot of things out, and it comes out at night. The reason we use solar calendar in Christianity and the reason that God prefers that we use it is because, for number one, he states right here in verse 16 that God made two great lights, the greater, the better, and bigger light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. So to stay on this thing here, the Farmer's Almanac will use the moon many times for signs concerning the season to plant, and the reason will be is very natural. There's no eye of newt or some black kettle and stuff going on around it that it's just really nonsense. It's not necessary. for us to get power. It don't have to be that way. We get ours through Christ. But the water table goes with the moon. So you can sit on the beach at high tide, and when the moon begins to come around, swinging on the earth, the gravity of it, trying to pull away, pulls the water to it, and the metric tonnage on that is fantastic. It's truly an amazing thing. Our Father is amazing. But the moon, when it does that, it also pulls the water table underneath of you, wherever you may be, up to the crops, and it farmers many times will use use these things to for good, to have good crops or a bountiful harvest, and much of that is based off of the moon. Having said that, the moon is volatile, and I'm gonna say it's a liar sometimes. Sometimes the moon will tell when it's supposed to be here, whenever it's there, and maybe things, because it doesn't even make its own light. It mimics the lesser light, mimics the greater light by reflecting the sun's light. Okay, the moon does not create its own light. It takes. And this is very symbolic of Lucifer and Christ. Like I said, not the moon. Maybe I shouldn't use that analogy, but it's close. Christ is the greater light. You'll hear Satan be called the angel of light. Well, sure. We were all light until many of us came through the womb, innocent of that age and that being. But we all desire to get back to that. That's what we're doing here. Let's see, what else can we add to this? The moon rules over darkness too, but God said that they were both good. What happens is that light, the darkness that was separated from the light, in verse number 4, when that happened, Genesis 1, verse 4, God divided the light from the darkness. Okay, he called light good, he did not call darkness good, and the moon rules over that. Again, mimicking the sun, as Lucifer would mimic Christ to be able to give us something, when really it's not giving us anything that is its own, as the sun is continuously putting out energy for us and making us healthy, and it gives us vitamins that are imperative to our health, and our help. When you work midnights for many years, it's a fact that it shortens the lifespans of those who work it, because it's not natural for us to be up all night. Like I said, there's nothing evil in itself, but if we go around parading things as good when we know they're not, that's when we begin to get ourselves in trouble. And before I get myself into too much trouble, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. And God's managed to keep me somehow within 15 minutes. I don't believe there's anything that I really left out. But we want to divide God's word rightly.